Now, I've been saying for a few weeks now, I've had some trouble narrowing headlines from games down to just 5. And with this one against Athletic Club, I think I could have given you 30. So it did take me quite a bit of time. From the end of this match, I actually recorded the podcast, so it'll be out tomorrow, so it's all out of whack. That said, it took me a while to get through these headlines and figure out what was the most important things from this match. Here's a list of some of the things that didn't even make the top 5, including Piqué having a pretty gosh darn good game, Araujo being good, and Araujo being not so good. We'll talk more about that on the podcast. And Nico Williams completely undressing, well, we'll talk about Jordi Alba, but completely undressing that Barcelona back line. I'm also probably not going to get into the Busquets stuff, so you're just going to have that stuff in the comments about Busquets going into the void, or tune into the podcast, and we did talk about Busquets aplenty over there. That said, let's try our best for the 5 headlines for Athletic Club against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey, a 3-2 loss in extra time that knocks Barcelona out of the competition. Headline number 1 is Ansu Fati Heartbreak. Ansu played just 35 minutes today, and as I reminded people, he and Pedri have featured in less than 12 matches together, and they have started, which did not include today because Ansu came off the bench, but they have started, that being Pedri and Ansu Fati, just 3 matches together in FC Barcelona uniforms. For Ansu and Pedri, arguably the two most important players for FC Barcelona, hopefully for the next 10 years, that's not a good sign of where the season is at. And this coming after losing Lionel Messi. I know it sounds like I keep making excuses for Barcelona and the state that the club is in at the moment, but these players matter, and your best players have to matter. Losing the greatest player of all time, and then not having Pedri for so much of this year, and not having Ansu most of this year beforehand, and now after, is difficult for the coaches, and club people, and media, and even you and I, fans, to have to watch a product that isn't what it could be. But mostly my heart breaks for Ansu Fati. It's so difficult having had a broken leg and then dealing for an entire year with this rehab. Every time it felt like he was going to come back, he'd have a relapse. And then he would finally hit the field, be back to the sideline again. And then another relapse, and another relapse. And then finally, even coming on late, coming in the second half, the 61st minute, it felt like, all right, well, Ansu got the job done the other day. He came in and scored in El Clasico, but for a game like this, where it seemed like a semi mess in the rain, it may not have been the game that you'd want to put Ansu Fati out there. I don't blame Ansu or the team doctors or Xavi for trusting him in these conditions, but these are difficult conditions. And then the pressure of the game as well, maybe that muscle, the thigh, that injury that just keeps on coming because of those knees being the whole body is connected. I'm afraid for the 19-year-old. I hope he can get things right. And as I've said, keep him out as long as you need to, but at some point, his body is going to have to be tested on the field. Even if he's 120% ready to go, that extra bit of match fitness, I hope that he can continue to be the athlete that can survive and play on the field, because certainly durability has been a huge thing that has offset the career of a number of great players, including Dembélé, and maybe even could do it to Haaland in the future. So I don't want Ansu Fati to potentially have his career sidelined by injuries any more than it already has. 2, fullbacks with the ball, fullbacks without it. It's difficult because after this match, losing 3-2 and losing Ansu, it feels like there's nothing else I could say that's more important than headline number 1, because that is far-reaching. But just speaking about this game, I think when we talk about some of the issues with Barcelona, that we can look at this game and look at the ones around it and say, hey, maybe Xavi and Laporta and Alemany are going to have to look at fixing up those fullback spots, because Jordi Alba wasn't it today. And Dani Alves, I think, actually surprises us at the age of 38 and has been better than Alba since he returned. And while Jordi Alba struggled with Nico Williams' pace all match long, and Alves also didn't get to Muniain in time for the first goal, that first goal really was the one that summed up the night for that fullback pairing, at least defensively. From a neutral perspective, it was a beautiful goal by Iker Muniain. He's got a ton of skill. And I do want to give credit to Iker too. Playing for Athletic Club is the only reason we don't hear more about him. And the fact that he's had a bunch of bad luck with injuries throughout his career hasn't helped either. That said, I think we can be a bit harsh on Alba and Alves here. Alba is a top 5 attacking left back in the world. You're going to find very, very, very few players that could replace what he does for Barcelona on that end of the field. But is he a top 100 defensive left back? I'm not sure about that, and that seems to be the problem, where it's not Alba individually the issue. It's not Piqué individually the issue. It's not Busquets individually the issue. It's not Ter Stegen individually the issue. It's not Alves individually the issue. It's not the fact that Araujo can't really play the ball with progressive passing out of the back. It's not that Eric Garcia struggles in 1v1 defending on the counterattack. It's the fact that each of those players are really, really terrific world-class players. But when you put them all together, as a unit, they do enhance each other's strengths a bit, but they certainly do not help cover over each other's weaknesses. And that is what Xavi is going to continue to have to deal with this season. 3 is Ferran Torres curls it in. With Ansu going down, it was a reminder that with Memphis out, that it is down to the likes of Abde and Chukla, and then Luke de Jong, because he was suspended for the Copa del Rey, and Martin Braithwaite also checking back into the game. Nice to see him. But Ferran Torres getting his first goal for Barcelona is the most important thing. Of all those players I just mentioned, the most important thing that could have happened for the forward line today. It was a good goal where he starts the move, shows you what he's got, and what a professional finisher looks like. His main skill isn't scoring goals, but obviously his ability to put the ball in the back of the net is more natural than Chukla and Abde and Dembele, and even Griezmann that we've been watching. One-touch football set it up as well, and Athletic Club gave him a bit too much time to set up the shot, it must be said. But Alba and Gabi making that goal happen too. The conclusion for Ferran Torres is it is night and day from that little appearance we saw against El Clasico in the first half to what we saw in the match against Athletic Club. He's, without Ansu Fati, the best attacker that Barcelona has, and there certainly is that bit of class. We've been excited, and I've been excited about what we got out of Abde for the first few weeks that we saw him. He's struggled of late, but what we saw, the promise of maybe later what Abde could bring. Chukla, very much like Mingueza last year, has way over-exceeded expectations for what I thought that Chukla could provide coming over from Espanyol B, never premiering with their first team. And they've been good, that being Chukla and Abde, but Ferran Torres is one of the top forwards in Spain. He's one of the top forwards under the age of 22 and does deserve some respect as being an actual fully fit professional footballer who's had a hat-trick against Germany for Spain, who's played for Man City under Pep Guardiola. This is a good player, and I'm glad that Barcelona have him. And I'm glad he won't be hearing anything about when is he going to score his first goal, because we've already got it in, and it's a pretty good one. 4, and that's Pedri was Barca's best. It probably took me too long to get to Pedri. He was the man of the match on the Barca side. I already mentioned Muniain was easily the man of the match for Athletic Club, so usually a trophy that can be difficult to hand out, and not one that Barcelona wants, obviously. But Pedri was sensational. Barcelona have had a lot of issues controlling matches, both at the start and at the end, and Athletic Club were all out. A lot of credit is due to Athletic Club. Their intensity, their fitness, their desire, playing at home in front of that crowd, it seemed like everything was working in Athletic Club's favor, and the only shot that Barcelona had to really get out of trouble was Pedri. I know people are going to look back, and especially in those highlight compilations, it'll be those spin moves, it'll be the moves that got him fouled, the ones that put him on the ground. But to me, it was the fact that he covered and the ways in which he covered. For Gabi, who didn't really have his best match today, and for Busquets, who was dropping way too deep, because without Eric Garcia's progressive passing, that meant Araujo and Piqué were kind of stuck back there on that press. So Busquets would drop in deep, in between those two center backs to try to build up play, which would leave Pedri and Gabi on a numerical disadvantage. And I know Xavi says he wants those numerical advantages, but to break through that pressure and Busquets not having the mobility to be able to move the ball or dribble with the ball, like maybe a Frankie de Jong might have in this match, then it was all on Pedri to try to dribble through two time and time again. And he did that today. And again, supporting Busquets or even de Jong late on, when he made one or two mistakes, Pedri was always in the right spot at the right time. Incredible, again, for Pedri. And a reminder that as good as Gabi, as good as Nico have been, Pedri is going to be the key to what unlocks other defenses. Not with his even playmaking, but just his full 90-minute every blade of grass, and there's purpose to so much of what he does. Frankie de Jong and Sergio Busquets and Gabi and Nico and Ricky Puig. Pedri right now, I think, is showing that he could be the best of the bunch. And speaking of de Jong, about that starting snub or what condition he's in, I don't know why the headline early on was that he wasn't starting. He didn't look fit last week, and Gabi is suspended this weekend, so I understood why Gabi started. We asked for rotation, and then when 5 midfielders deserve to start, we question why the others aren't starting. You could talk to me about Frankie de Jong in 3 more games, or if Xavi, as he's been pretty honest about, if he has a message for Frankie de Jong, I'm interested to hear what he has to say about the Dutchman and kind of the form that he's in, if he is in full health. And a final side here, it was interesting to see Serginho Dest pop up on that left wing, completely out of position, maybe his final appearance for FC Barcelona, I'm not sure. I've had plenty of content earlier this week talking about Serginho Dest and my opinions on that. But here's the final headline. Number 5, too much Athletic Club. As I said at the start, there were issues with Barcelona. Yes, they don't have depth. Players are not fully fit yet. They had some injuries in this game. But, and this is the most important but in this game, was that Athletic Club were just the better team. At home, as I said, in the conditions, against a Barcelona side that has yet to get over that hump and win that big match that they needed to win all of this season. Athletic Club just mentally, physically, pressure-wise, they had Barca's number today. And Barca were actually lucky to go into the halftime break at 1-1. It was a bit of magic on both those goals, but Barca were able to see through it, survive, and then Pedri, of course. Yes, he went off injured in extra time. I hope he's able to come back much, much quicker than obviously last time, but I hope that he doesn't even miss a game. We can see him maybe off the bench over the weekend. But if Pedri doesn't score that goal, this game's already over. And Athletic Club then took it and continued to take it to Barcelona as those injuries piled up and players like Braithwaite were trying to reappear for Barcelona. Athletic Club just took advantage. So credit to them. Iñaki Williams, Iker Muniain, Nico Williams. The Basque are able to retain their talent, those high release clauses, and they have put together, that being Marcelino, who's a really good coach. Doesn't beat Barcelona in the Liga, but does have Barca's number in cups, apparently, because he's beaten Barcelona 3 times in 3 years in different cup competitions. So credit to Marcelino, credit to Athletic Club. It's a difficult pill to swallow, but as I said, the far-reaching aspects that I can take out of this Copa del Rey elimination is that there is a team with some depth here that is capable of finishing top 4, that is capable of going a bit deeper in the Europa League, but they're going to have to get healthy without Ansu Fati. They're going to have to figure some things out, especially at the back with Eric Garcia out. But all in all, intensity and fire and fight and winning matches at home in front of that Camp Nou crowd, in front of their own crowd, are going to be pivotal to top 4 this season. And we're going to continue to be with you all season long, not only with these match reviews as well as the podcast and plenty of other fun stuff here on the channel. So of course, like, subscribe, and all that. And until next time, as always, Forza Barca.